Now, what are the three pillars of observability? One is logging, second is metrics, and third is trace, right? Logging means first you have to make sure that whatever application you are creating, whether it is on Docker, whether it is a full stack development, whether it is on Kubernetes, right? You have to make sure that my application will generate a regular data, a regular logs of its health, right? It will give a log of how many requests it received, which request it received. Each should give each and every details of one single request as well as one single response that it is giving, right? And it should log that somewhere. Based on these logs, now, okay, I decided that I should create a log, but there are 10 things running on my container. Do I need to create logs of 10 things? Is it that necessary? No, right? There are only 4 things which I should be, worrying about, and I should be creating log for only those 4 things, right? So that's how it works. So that is called metrics. You have to decide which metrics you feel is an important metrics, right? So let's say if I say while going out, right, you have created a list of, checklist of while, going out or going for a picnic, right? I have created a checklist, right? So that is called as logging, right? And what you feel as important, you write it down first. That becomes your metrics, right? So it is okay to forget one pair of shirt or t-shirt or one pair of shoes. It is fine to, miss one pair of t-shirt, and it is not fine to, miss your wallet or your purse, right? You cannot miss that, right? How you're going to travel, how you're going to pay for whatever food you're going to eat, right? So that is the important thing, right? So that becomes your metrics, right? So I don't feel that okay, so these things, okay, so there are some junk food available. It's fine if I forget while going for picnic, right? I can buy it anywhere, but I cannot forget my wallet. Why? I cannot forget my purse. Why? Because if I forget the purse, there is no picnic. Right? So that's how it is. So when you create a service, when you create a container, when you create a image file, Docker, that time you have to think that what kind of logging I'm going to create and what kind of things I should be considering as metrics, right? And what trace they are leaving behind, right? So trace means we'll see that. Fine. So these are all things, right? These are the three main pillars of observability, right? So these are the three main pillars of observability, and that's how they revolve around observability, right? Metrics, logs, tracing, right? Metrics means what kind of things I should be watching over. Logs, what output they have created, and tracing means what went wrong or why I'm getting this huge, why my containers are using this huge amount of memory, right? So what trace it is leaving. So I can see that there is a memory leak. That trace, I got it from the logs, right? And logs, I can see that there is this metrics missing. Boss, I'm seeing that I cannot find how many requests are registered in that entire day. This metrics I need, this metric I'm missing, right? Then you add that as a metrics and you start generating a log. And then you find it as a trace at the end of day that there are thousands of requests coming, right? So that's how metrics creates logs, and through logs you can trace something. So I hope these three pillars and the relationship between them is very clear. So see, you can understand, you can just get the definitions of logging, metrics, and test traces, right? But it is very important to understand that how these things work, how these things are interrelated, right? So you have to understand there comes first metrics, right? So you have to decide what becomes a metrics. Now let's move our focus to what is metrics, right? Now, again, as I said, that you have to understand that what exactly is metrics and what makes something a metrics, right? For example, metrics provide information about the state of the system, right? Here you can see first one is CPU load. Another one is number of open files, HTTP response times, number of errors, right? These are 4 things which I considered as metrics, right? But let's say I have selected these 4 things as a metrics, right? But someone who is developing the same system forgot to mention CPU load. right? And he's completely unaware that why his entire system is working slow, right? So don't you think that he won't be able to trace that problem, right? But in my case, where I have selected CPU load as a matrix, and it is generating a log each and every second, and I am completely in control, and I'm completely able to trace that what exactly is going and why my system is slow, because I can see there's a huge load on my CPU. But that person has not properly selected his metrics, where he has missed CPU load as a matrix, and then he's completely in dark, and he's trying to find a black cat in a dark room, right? That he's not able to understand that what's going wrong, why his computer is slow. He can see there are no open files, there are very less HTTP response, and there are no errors, right? He can see, but he's not able to see why CPU load is very high, right? Because he has not selected his metrics properly, right? So selecting proper metrics is the game changing thing in it, right? And after that, it should also generate logs properly. Again, you can go more in depth into the logging systems. If you see that I can, and now I'm taking logs after every 15 minutes, right? And okay, I see everything is fine, but why not take it 5 minutes, at an interval of 5 minutes? Then I started collecting logs at the interval of 5 minutes, and then I realized that between the interval of every 15 minutes, there where my system was going down, and within a minute it was coming up, right? Which I was missing. And I was able to find when I reduced my interval to 5 minutes, right? So that's how you can do trial and error with the logging. But yes, you can do that with logging, right? But you cannot do that with metrics. So you have to select your metrics very carefully. Once you have good metrics, they can generate a log, and after generating log, you will have insights into the health and the behavior of your system, right? That's how you can understand true tracing. Right? The last line says the data collected can be aggregated over time and graphed into visualizations tools to identify trends over time, right? Obviously, which higher management people like to do, right? They like to aggregate things, and they want to see it in different kinds of chart, right? Which will give you the visualization within minutes, within seconds, right? If you see a pie chart of division of, let's say, 5 properties, immediately you can see either 5 properties are divided properly, or not, right? Again, that is completely depending on charts, right? Which chart you are selecting, right? So moving ahead to tracing, right? Again, tracing, what do we have in tracing? So we have these 4 points in tracing, right? That trace describes the tracking of a request while it passes through the service, right? Trace consists of multiple units of work which represents the different levels that occurs while the request is passing. Each application can contribute a span of trace that can include information like start time, finish time, what was the name of that service, what was the tags given to it, how the logging messages were done, right? So these traces can be stored and analyzed in a tracing system like Jagger, right? So these are different tracing systems available, right? With the help of which you can do the tracing. But yes, tracing helps us to understand, helps us to analyze that what went wrong, how it is moving, where it is failing. If my request goes through middleware, and if there are 10 parts in the middleware, right? And if it is failing on the first part in the middleware, I can understand that, okay, there is some problem with the middleware, and there is some problem with part 1. Right? But if you're completely unaware of tracing, you will just see my request is getting accepted from the front end, but I don't know why it is not reaching in the back end, right? So you can see that it fails somewhere in the middleware. But middleware is a process of 10 steps, and I am not having an idea that where actually it fails. So I'm going to do some manual testing again and again. That is more time consuming as well as error prone, right? So to avoid that, first thing is to select proper metrics, generate proper logs, and make sure you have good tracing.
This was our expert from Team K21Academy, and if in case you want to have a deeper dive and want to build a career in Kubernetes and Docker, including DevOps, then we have something really special for you. We have our free class on mastering Kubernetes, Docker, and DevOps. that includes how to build in-demand skills and land a high-paying job. So for that, you just have to visit k21academy.com/K8S02. You have to click on book your free seat now. And after that, select an event date according to your availability. Enter your name, your email address, your phone number, and click on Yes, save my seat. Moving ahead, you'll be seeing this kind of interface. You just have to save this link on the extreme right, add it to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, take care and keep learning.